We did a research recently and found that 70 to 72% of children below the age of 14 quit their passion on sports.
A lot of young people now are playing sports, playing tournaments, playing competition. However, their bodies are not really ready to sustain that kind of load.
How would you differentiate a youth athlete developer from a fitness trainer?
Correct.
Why are they two different?
Parents play a very important role, I think.
How?
I think they have a lot of expectations and which puts a lot of pressure on the child, and I think that somewhere also impacts the performance. So 18 months and the coach is trying to teach them ball control, they're not going to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the age where we want them to get like a lot of free play. Yeah, we have coaches who come to us saying, next month tournament, can you make my athletes stronger and faster?
Tournament.
Can you make them Ferraris of the world?
Some of the underlying reasons we found in our research is injuries, ligament related injuries, parental pressure, and they themselves don't feel that they could make a career out of this. Another research that was done shows that 400% of increase in injuries in cricket and football playing children. All this has led to a lot of demotivation among children before the age of 14, and hence we see in a country like India where the passion for sport is very, very high, but the number of athletes who compete at a national level are very, very few. Priyanka Chaturvedi,
hi.
Welcome. Hello.
Thanks.
She's chosen a unique profession of a youth athlete developer. Youth athlete developer takes the ownership of building physical, mental endurance among the athletes in order to kind of compete and stay in the long run, to make sure that they are able to embrace the pressure that comes with an athletic lifestyle.
Thank you. Yes.
Priyanka has been a consultant before being a youth athlete developer, so she had a very interesting journey that was fueled by her interest in sports from a very early age. Priyanka, welcome to Reflections.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. You for being here with us.
Thanks,
and I'm so glad that we are touching upon a topic which is very much related to the young generation of how we as a country want to grow in sports going forward.
That's right. Especially now.
Especially now. Yes. So Priyanka, tell me a little bit more about your journey. How did you start with switching from being a consultant to into athletics?
I know. Quite a drastic change, I think, and I'm glad I chose that.
Yeah.
I've been on the financial service side and on leadership hiring side. However, in 2019, I decided to quit my corporate career. And I wanted to do something for kids largely, because I think the kids who don't play sports in India don't really have many options to be physically active. That's how this concept was born. And now it has evolved to a sports science and a high performance coaching venture, whereby we train athletes beyond sports. So a lot of young people now are playing sports, playing tournaments, playing competition. However, their bodies are not really ready to sustain that kind of load. So that's the concept. We want to be that missing puzzle in their comprehensive training and help them bridge the gap rather.
Yeah.
So what it takes to be an elite athlete to where they stand now or to what their sport needs.
Is it just bridging the gap, or is it the fundamental? In my opinion,
it's actually
it's the base of the pyramid.
It's the base of the pyramid, which I think gets massively ignored. The base should be movement competency. Add to it the performance skills, which is you're getting faster, getting stronger, and then comes the sports. However, I think in India the pyramid is upside down. We first start with sports, and then we realize that our child is doing well, and that's when we start figuring out what more can we do to help them. It should be the other way around. Right.
And is that one of the reasons why you see when they participate in a selection on a state level or something of that sort, they may be good in their technique, but not in the other aspects of being in a sports person, like strength and endurance. Do you see that happening very often?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, most of the sports now have fitness as a criteria to clear. That the yo-yo test of cricket was most talked about.
Which test is that?
Yo-yo test.
Yo-yo test, okay.
And even in football, we do have an athlete who came to us recently who got selected to represent in the India World Cup under 17. However, he lost out on the physical fitness part. An excellent guy in terms of skill, technique, everything. So that's why they enrolled with us this year. And they want to work on this and try again next year. So this happens very often.
Very often.
Yeah, correct.
That's because the base, and my research shows that actually in countries like Canada,
Right.
countries like Spain and so forth,
Right.
this concept of actually building the physical and mental
Correct.
fitness
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
actually starts from a very young age.
Yeah, that's true. I think in India, for some reason, we have a rush to enroll in sports.
Yeah.
However, I think what they try to do is they do long-term athlete development. And I think the base should be fundamental movement skills, where you're just trying to orient yourself with different skills required in sports. How to catch, how to throw, how to jump, how to run. Very important factors which you don't get to learn later in the stage. It's like the ABCs of skills.
So we in India, are you comfortable in saying are missing the ABCs?
Absolutely, we are missing it. I was quite surprised when I read this subject from Singapore that we
Yeah.
don't have something like this.
Yeah.
So how you need to learn the ABC to learn how to form word sentences. It's as equivalent an analogy as that.
And I've schooled in India. My child is being schooled in Mumbai as
Right.
well. The maximum we have is a physical education class,
Correct.
1 hour per week.
Per
right?
week. I mean,
Yeah, it has grown. We never
Right.
did animal walks.
Okay.
Now they do.
correct.
But
Right.
is that enough? Is that enough in order to kind of, at a school level where children are spending most of their hours right now?
Right.
And with the dearth of outside
Options
play
outside.
to play
Correct.
outside as well.
Correct.
Is it enough?
I don't think so. I think WHO itself says to at least get 150 minutes minimum. I think the younger you are, the more time you need.
Yeah.
And school programs, for some reasons, not everybody is able to get it right. It has to be inclusive, it has to be engaging. It should focus on child to develop interest for sports or physical activity to start with.
So is it directly proportional that if a child has that physical ability, can take the mental pressure, has the endurance,
Right.
they themselves will pivot to a particular sport
They
in a
will.
much better way?
They will, because I think sports
Because
is
the
yeah.
body, the mind is supporting them.
Correct.
Right?
And also
Yeah.
sports is about performance, right? If you do not
Right.
perform well, which could be due to your fitness, stamina, everything, I think you
Yeah.
get dropped out.
Right.
If the coach doesn't drop you, probably your team would drop you out. That, okay, we don't want you in our team.
Interesting.
That's right.
So this career option in India, being a youth athlete developer,
Right.
seems to be like missing altogether.
Correct.
Missing altogether.
true.
How would you differentiate, or if we want to inspire somebody, how would you
Right.
differentiate a youth athlete developer from a
Right.
fitness trainer?
Correct.
Why are they two different? What do you think is?
True. So I think fitness works largely on general fitness parameters, and there was never a goal initially. The goal was just to be fit. But if you are playing sports, and that's where the strength and conditioning line came up, that science studies all about improvement in performance.
Yeah.
So even if you are a marathon runner, it could be an important subject for you to figure out. If you are sitting on a couch and you want to do your first 5K, that's also a goal. In competitive athletes, it becomes even more important because I think fitness is not optional there.
Yeah.
It becomes a differentiator factor on the field. I think Virat Kohli is a good example who keeps saying that I might miss my cricket practice, but I don't miss my fitness practice ever. So I think that's inspiring.
There is fitness, but then at the same time, there is this sports science
Correct.
that a youth athlete developer
Right.
should kind of combine with,
That's true.
and that's the difference between a fitness trainer and a
Right.
youth athlete developer. Okay.
Right. So in our field of sports science, what we do is we work on a movement competency of any client
Right.
or any child, which is I think the base. If you don't get that right, it's difficult to progress.
Correct.
So many people who come to us at the age of 14, they don't know a basic movement as a squat. That's something you probably learned as a child. I mean,
Yes.
if you see a baby squat,
Yes.
it is absolutely perfect.
Yes.
But to get that right at the age of 14, it requires them a few sessions to learn.
Yes, in fact, at the age of 8, when they are asked to squat for 10 times,
Correct.
they have a pain in the shin and the
Yeah,
thighs.
true. In fact, so many of them can't keep their heel on the floor because of the tightness in an overhead deep squat.
Right,
True.
and then we expect them to pick up a sport and excel at a national level.
I know.
Wow, fantastic. Well,
Correct. That's true.
yeah. So again, that's very clear that it's much more than fitness
Correct.
experience. But the skill set of dealing with younger children,
Right.
like we are talking of 7 years, 12 years, etc.
Correct.
What is your experience with that?
Sure. So I think the tougher part for fitness is sports is something children like because it challenges them. every time they kick a ball, every time they get a shot right, it is a mental stimulant. However, in fitness, it is a coach's job, and it is a very tough job to make it interesting for kids to like fitness. If you just tell them to do 7 squats, they're not gonna do it. If you tell them to go run 5 kilometers, they're not gonna do it.
Yes.
So it's just, we have to be very creative to engage a child in fitness.
This is very, very, this is a nice point that you made.
Correct.
That youth athlete developers should also be pro at engaging that age group.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you gamify things.
Yeah, we gamify things, and at times we have to give it as a carrot initially, that if you do fitness, you get to play the sport.
Right.
That's when we work with coaches, but then over a period of time, you have to build that rapport with the child.
Right.
And also kind of educate them why is it important to do fitness for their sport.
True. Yes, yeah. So educating the child, building that rapport with the child to make sure that this is a long-term process, right?
Correct.
So पता चल जाता है क्या at the age of 8, 9, 10 that you are seeing some spark in this child, that they will grow to a national level athlete? Is that something that you've seen in your experience?
No, we do tend to figure out who is more athletic, but I think our job is to get them competition ready, irrespective of where they see themselves 5 years down the line. But some parents have clarity, but we do not want to put unnecessary pressure on the child, I feel.
Correct.
At least at the age of 8, 9, we would want to just work on the physical preparedness for the sport from 8 to 12. And then kind of let them identify themselves with sport they like to specialize in.
So, you know, I think your job is also more consulting to the parents.
Our job is more
they play
consulting.
a big role.
They play a very big role. So all the stakeholders are important, but parents play a very important role, I think.
How?
I think they have a lot of expectations, and which puts a lot of pressure on the child. And I think that somewhere also impacts the performance. So anyway, they are dealing with that pressure themselves, and I think parental pressure adds to it. And at the age of 8 and 9, I think they should rather develop a love for the sport and think of being active for life than thinking of medals and trophy at the age of 8 for sure. You get competitive stage, it's fine, but I think in India that's why you see a lot of child prodigies keep dropping out from the age of 13, 14.
Yes.
Like you see a lot of people play. Correct.
Injuries come in.
Injuries coming, that's a very important point, I think, which we must talk about. So many formats are happening. There's a match every weekend. The practice hours have increased, and the children's bodies are not ready to take that kind of load. And which is where parents, I think they are the only ones who have the intent to support the child's sporting journey, and that's where they are playing the role of finding the role of strength training very important.
So this again brings me to a very significant point. Parents sending their children for soccer training, soccer coaching.
Correct.
Cricket coaching.
Correct.
Like I see यहाँ पे मुंबई में oval मैदान and all.
Right.
Like 8-year, 7-year children, 5-year children are learning cover drives, and soccer में they are playing inter-school and winning medals for the best goalkeeper, etc.
Correct.
What is your take on it? Like somebody told me for my child, just wait it out, build the base of the pyramid, and then, you know, think of competitions. Otherwise, there's a burnout experience that can very much come up. What's your take on it? I'm very interested.
So it's kind of proven now. I think till the age of 6, we should teach them fundamental movement skills. A lot of game-based cardiovascular exercises. Learn the art of catching, throwing, jumping. From the age of 6 to 12, probably they should play multi-sports. It also develops them holistically. It also avoids the case of early specialization. It also avoids fatigue, injury, everything. So very important, and this has been researched. Most of the Olympians have played multi-sports in their younger years, and they start specializing or start thinking about specializing post they touch the teenager age. Except for sports like gymnastics, where you can start specializing from the age of 5.
Yeah, but a lot of Olympians recently said that till the age of 13, 14, their success of being an Olympian actually lies in the fact that they played multiple sports.
Absolutely.
Isn't that was something I read very recently?
Yeah, correct. And which is what we are not doing, I think. I see 18-month-old child being enrolled in football class. 18 months, and the coach is trying to teach them ball control. They're not going to do that, right? Yeah. So I think that's the age where we want them to get like a lot of free play and some bit of structured work to keep them engaged and make them learn something in the process. I think your confidence is far higher when you go to a football field or a tennis court. If you know these skills, if you feel fit, you feel more confident on the
field. Directly proportional. That's exactly
right.
If your body mind supports you, then you are you are in a better space.
In football, strength does matter, right? You feel very confident on the football football field if you have strength. And you see a lot of I think lack of nutrition is also one reason, and obviously lack of fitness is another reason. You see these lot of lean, undernourished kind of people, kids playing, and that's when they feel the difference if somebody better is there on the field, even if they are more skilled. But fitness is something that gives them slightly lesser edge.
Have you seen those children facing self-esteem issues?
I think skill does give a lot of confidence. If you are more skilled in a sport, it gives you that confidence, but you don't really last. So if you have a tennis match which is intense, if you don't last all the 3 sets, you obviously feel, and that's when it mentally starts bothering you, even if you feel that you're skilled. But if you don't last, you feel mentally kind of underplaying yourself.
Understood. Right. So building a rapport with the child, gamifying, parent consultation, and putting in the right mindset across all the stakeholders. It's very important to being a youth athlete developer as such. But coming to the point of the fact on awareness about this topic in India, like if I want to inspire somebody to take up this career, I don't want them to tell me that hey, ये तो किसी को पता ही नहीं है, मैं जाता हूँ वो लोग बोलते ये क्या है. How did you overcome this challenge, and how is it looking like in India? What is the response that you're getting?
So when we started, I think 4 years back, the awareness was minimal. Most of the parents said कि sports तो खेल ही रहा है तो fit ही है हमारा बेटा और हमारा or my girl. But I think now it is changing, thankfully so, because the number of medals and trophies that have started coming to India, barring this Olympics obviously, but before that, like India was making relatively more noise compared to their previous years. So everybody owes that success to sports science as well, because I think our athletes were always very hardworking, skilled, talented. But sports science is playing that role in understanding, say, the biomechanics, working on their factors. Like even Neeraj Chopra said recently that training is one thing, but I train separately for strength, stability, endurance. So that doesn't come if you go to a gym and sit on every machine and do a very random workout. So at that age or at that phase of your career, it does get very specific.
So what brings that strength, and if it's not going to the gym?
No, you can go to a gym, but if you are spending that 1 hour in the gym, you might as well do exercises that will help you transfer it in your sport, right? So when India was going for Asia Cup for cricket, Sunil Gavaskar said, I want the team to get cricket fit and not gym fit. So you need those power hitting, you need that fast bowling. So it doesn't come by randomly doing all exercises on the gym machine 3 times. So in fact, our gym looks relatively empty compared to a standard commercial gym, because that's the minimal you need it.
That's okay, interesting. Very specific, but I think for the young children, it is generally playway method, right?
Yeah, for the younger ones, yes. But I think once you become an athlete who is representing at a school level, at a state level, you do get a bit of seriousness, and you start to appreciate the role of strength training because your game starts getting better. I mean, so then that's when the child gets interested himself. Initial phase, we have to push it and get creative with them.
But then talking again of this kind of a profile in India, what is the response that you're getting specifically from the parent who has to pay for it?
In fact, these are very good times for children, I think. I have met a lot of parents who are okay for kids to do a dummy school but focus on sport. And when they focus on sport, they want them to train wholly. So that is one good sign. I think they don't have pressure like us that there is no career, so don't pursue a sport. Correct. So it was like, don't pursue a career in sport because kuch hone nahi wala. So I think these days kids are relatively more sorted. The awareness is higher. And that's why I think the number of career options that have come up in the field of SNC are now much higher than what it used to be. So government is setting up centers which are high performance center, or say a Sports Authority of India is there, Olympic Gold Quest is there. These young kids who have just done the certification are traveling with the team to Paris. It's a very, I think, confidence boost to them. So that's one.
So I think with this, because anything in SNC or this athlete development, results can't be seen in 3 months, 4 months.
Not at all.
आपको sports if you coach in one particular sport, learning a stroke in tennis or something like this, parent can see. ये सीख लिया है, ये अभी आ गया है,
biggest challenge.
like movement आ गया है. This is the challenge in this career option, right?
Yeah, because a lot of people don't enroll child in a fitness class because they don't get to see anything. They should realize that is something that plays a role overall, and not so if you do an art class, you know what drawing you have made. And it also is a problem because when parents ask us, give us a demo of your class. So it's not like a Zumba class or an aerial yoga, I can give you a demo. SNC is about improving you. So I can't show you your improved version today. So you have to give us minimum 3 to 6 months time to see the changes in the child.
Correct.
Yeah.
So while this thing builds up in India, and while people like yourself who are passionate about sports and who understand the meaning of strength, endurance from the very young age, what are the other arenas that they can explore in order to expand their body of work or something like that? Yeah.
So I think a lot of people used to play sports earlier, and the only motivation they had was to secure a job, and which had to be a government job, obviously.
Correct.
Now, and if you don't make it in those top league, you don't get a job. But I think nowadays, since the options are higher, the number of job opportunities have gone up, the number of people who want to do it has gone up. So those people have a career option. So either they can study a subject of strength and conditioning, sports science. The number of courses in India have gone up.
Okay.
Earlier, a lot of people were going either abroad.
Is that a mandatory thing to do to get into a youth athlete development? I mean, do clients ask you for the certification?
They don't, but I think it's a moral obligation.
Is it?
You should study it as a subject before experimenting on someone's child.
Got it.
So a lot of people don't ask, and that's why for the longest time we didn't have certified coaches. If you were a successful athlete, you became a coach. And that's where it fails, because as an athlete you are motivated. You know what to do, but not every client profile is going to come to you with similar motivation.
Correct.
Or say a similar body asymmetry. So that's where a sports science plays a role.
Okay.
A lot of time our initial work is to just reduce the asymmetry in the muscles, and that reduces your chance of injury. So we do a lot of screening and assessment when a client comes to us, get a baseline data to work upon, and then show the progress.
This though will never come with sports coaching. I can challenge you on that one.
It doesn't.
I mean, looking at the symmetry of the muscle, which first you bring a symmetry, and then you improve on that symmetry to strengthen it.
Correct.
I don't think that is coming with any kind of sports.
So that's the reason if you see any parent whose child plays football, half the time there is an ankle pain, hamstring pain, knee pain, going to a physiotherapist, telling the child ki break le lo, abhi mat khelo, football se injury ho jati hai. So injury football se nahi ho rahi hai. Injury isliye ho rahi hai because your body is not ready to take so much load, and which is where parents will play a role. They are the only ones who have the intent, and I keep saying it, parents are the one who can influence the skill coach as well as the child to take up strength training. One, it obviously improves your performance, but it also prevents the injury. So अगर injury हो जाएगी और खेलोगे ही नहीं, बाहर बैठे हो, so performance and skills really don't count.
They don't count. I've seen one of my very close brothers, very advanced in cricket, a fast bowler. He came to a conclusion to say fast bowler is not for human body.
Yeah.
And he concluded to the fact that technique, all of us on the field knew it.
Correct.
It was all boiling down to fitness.
Correct. Most of them, fast bowling are prone to the highest injury rates in India. And also if you see a lot of marathon runners, they have accepted कि अगर long distance भाग रहे हैं, तो knee pain होने ही वाला है, knee injury होने ही वाली है. It doesn't have to be that way.
Doesn't have to be
that way.
Right.
It doesn't. You have to complement your training. You can't just keep running mindlessly, endlessly.
Correct.
It does give you a high, but it is not worth it if it is a niggle and pain every time you run.
Correct. Right. No, but that's very evident, no? Like I said in the beginning of the podcast.
Correct.
400% increase in injury over the last 10 years. I'm sure that nutrition is also playing a very important role.
Nutrition does play a role.
How, when you sort of embarked on this journey of a youth athlete development, because we know, I mean, a layman person like me goes to the gym, but if we find that, you know, we are not losing weight or not building strength, the other part is we are not eating well, and that's 80% of it, right?
Correct.
So how much of nutrition science have you learned, and how much of you do you transfer to your clients or to your children as well?
Sure. So nutrition is a subject which I don't really specialize in.
Okay.
But as a
unit.
As a unit, that's what we educate the parent, that the entire ecosystem is made of a skill coach, that's the person who is teaching the sport, then a strength and conditioning coach, a sports physiotherapist, really must, a nutritionist, and a sports massage therapist is what makes the entire unit.
Correct.
So and nowadays sports psychologist also. So a physiotherapy for us is not reactive. You do not have to wait for an injury to happen and then go to a physiotherapist and sit outside the field for 3 months. You might as well do it proactively. So the number of injury rates, obviously it comes down. We now have data because we've been working for 4 years.
So a partnership with a sports physiotherapist,
right,
who is proactive rather than reactive.
Correct. That's the concept we are building.
It's equally an important part of the development of the course. And again, similar thing with nutrition as well.
Correct.
Because you need that kind of habits in an athlete.
Nutrition helps you in recovery also. A good nutrition is required for you to play well, for you to recover well, to be ready for your next match. So a lot of time matches are at a stretch 4 or 5 days. So we need to know the entire system or entire ecosystem, how it will work.
Right. We are very intrigued by this thought that, as a career, right?
Correct.
You become emotionally attached to the one you are training. Like 3 years, 4 years down the line, you feel like, अब मैंने उसके साथ इतना सारा कुछ किया है, अब मैं इसे कहीं ना कहीं पहुंचा के रहूंगा.
That's true.
But how much of that should one have and not have actually?
Correct. So I think it helps to work with the skill coach very closely there.
Yeah.
And I think everybody in the system, parent, skill coach, us, should keep athlete as the focus. And it's only then it will work. But in reality, what happens is there's a lot of ego clash. Physiotherapist thinks something else. Skill coach thinks, what will you teach me new? I have been doing this without you for last 20 years.
Correct.
So that is where it becomes an issue, and it happens everywhere. But in my work, I have been partnering with coaches who have a vision, who understand the importance of SNC in the development of their athletes, and that's when it works well. Because I think it finally comes down to the sports coach and not to the SNC coach. We are a support function. It is a sport that you want to excel in. It is a vision of the coach that will take you there.
Correct.
And we can just support you in that journey. So we basically do a need analysis of the sport. What is it that your sport needs? And then we do your assessment, that where do you stand in terms of what your sport needs? And that's the gap that we have to fill in.
But then at a young age, they don't know what sport they will play. So then that's
whatever
general
sport are they
conditioning.
playing? If they're playing football, I need to know what is the need analysis of football. And do you have that in you? If it is a cricket sport, then you have to know
the
what
interest
does
of the
cricket
child is what you match to. But the interest can change. But these are transferable.
Yeah, we match more the fitness and not the interest. So interest is up to the child. People do change. Somebody I know was playing football until the age of 12. Now he has shifted to tennis. There's no connection, but
No,
he shifted. It depends.
Of course, yeah. And lastly, again, like we said, those who want to pick this as their career option, right? Bringing parents up to the level of understanding the concept,
right?
Which is your other market that you think you have tapped into successfully?
So we've been doing it well, but this segment does require a lot of patience for you to grow. I think everybody wants quick money, because then you compare yourself with your peers who didn't follow passion but followed a standard route and have got jobs. But I think if you show patience of 3 to 5 years, try to learn a lot of work, there is a lot of money in this field obviously, but at least the number of jobs have gone up, and apart from that you can do obviously an extra work in the same field for your creative satisfaction.
So schools are inviting you, educational institutes?
So we are working with school sports team at some places, but again it has to be a collaboration with sports, which is what we have done as of now. But some schools, we have just started working in Gujarat, where we are just doing the assessment, athletic assessment of children.
Okay.
And working with them through the year to track the progress in those parameters. Like your strength has to be there has to be a power factor, there has to be a speed and agility factor. Even flexibility is a part of fitness. So we have started assessing children on those parameters in the school. So we go for 5 days, we assess about 400 children, and we do this thrice in a year.
Is infrastructure a blocker for you?
In Bombay, yes. In I think other cities, they're slightly better off.
Better off? Yeah.
Bombay, schools, times, the time kids have on the calendar, the time school can allow, everything is a challenge. So like you said, once a week in Bombay, when I go to Gujarat, it is a mandatory 45-minute period every day.
Correct.
So they start the day with sports.
Wow. So a sports athlete developer, a career that is needed in India, a concept that is yet to be well understood in India, but picking up at a faster pace. A youth athlete developer, the foremost skill that I have learned from Priyanka is patience. You need patience with the parents, you need patience with the child, you need patience in showing the body of work. Like Priyanka said, 5 years is what the child would need in order to show that they have gained something out of being together with a youth athlete developer. Right? It's a holistic sports science whereby sports physiotherapy is proactive rather than reactive, and nutrition is a core part of it. But what I learned today is something that I will cherish for my life, and it is being in one of the most satisfying careers. You actually see the seed being planted to it being growing into a successful, fruitful tree. It needs that patience, that endurance, but without that you cannot see magic. Without that, you cannot see national level athletes competing at international levels.
Right.
And without that, you will not be able to develop into campaigns like Khelo India movement and so forth in India. This sits at the core of developing athletes. This is at the base of the pyramid. This is what any athlete would need irrespective of the sport that they would choose. So a lot of scope, a lot of remuneration possibilities also into it.
Now.
One needs now, yes, in now, but one needs to be patient over here, and they need to transfer that vibe of being patient to their clients as well.
Absolutely.
That is very
There's
important.
always an urgency.
That is very, very important.
Yeah, we have coaches who come to us saying, next month tournament, can you make my
Yeah,
athletes stronger
next
and
month
faster?
wala tournament.
Can you make them Ferraris of the world? So I said, it doesn't work like that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not just fitness, it's holistic development. Put your feet into it. You have interest in sports, you have interest in sports science, you have interest in sports science and nutrition. This is the right place for you to grow athletes in this country like India. Lot of talent exists. Identifying them, assessing their strength, and then bringing them up based on aligning with what they like the most is what a youth athlete developer needs. Thank you very much, Priyanka, for being with us.
Thank you so much.
I think we've touched on a very, very important topic today.
Right.
And I hope that those who want to pursue being sports athlete developers kind of, can gain some inspiration from you.
I hope so.
I think you are open to also helping them with
Absolutely.
understanding what ground level challenges are and so forth. We need not, being a sports athlete developer need not be an investment where you need your own gym or a training center, right? Am I correct?
At some point you might need it, but there are options.
There are options, not necessarily immediately as such.
And that should not be the deterrent for you to enter in the career.
To enter into the career, right. But this concept, which is internationally very well renowned, and no doubt that we have so many athletes competing in smaller nations like Spain as compared to that of India.
Absolutely.
Let's do it together. We are here to mentor you on being a sports athlete developer. Minimum criteria, your passion for fitness and sports.
Absolutely.
And that's all you need.
To start with.
That's all you need.
Correct.
So let's get going. Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you
it was such a pleasure
Thanks so much for giving
having
this
you
platform.
here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You take care.